Big news coming out today, January the 24th, 2025, as we are hearing articles coming out. Take a look at the latest on this. We are hearing that Trump is proposing to getting rid of FEMA. Now, he said this while visiting North Carolina. Trump is saying put an end to the emergency management group, FEMA. Let me know if you agree in the comments. Take a look at this. Live updates. Trump floats ending FEMA ahead of California wildfires visit. And we are hearing that he has visited California and North Carolina today, locations in the United States that have experienced severe major events. And he is saying FEMA was of very little help for these places. Trump floats overhauling and eliminating FEMA while touring hurricane damage in North Carolina. And I'm going to share with you the video footage coming out on this so that way you can see it for yourself, as Donald Trump is saying, hey, by executive order, we should eliminate FEMA. Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think that Trump should eliminate FEMA? Well, I'm going to get you caught up on this. This coming out today, January the 24th, 2025, as he's saying it would be much better if the funds for disaster relief went directly to the states rather than handing it over to them, because he said it's just a mess. It's a disaster. They're poorly done. He's essentially saying, FEMA, you're fired. So I'm going to get you caught up on the latest so that way you can see it for yourself. We're going to be playing the video footage and looking at the articles so that way you can get the breakdown of what is going on. Now, before we dive in, if you appreciate the updates, keeping you up to speed on everything, do me a favor, take a quick second, hit that like button for me, help spread this out further across the YouTube platform. In addition to that, to stay up to date, it is totally free. Why not? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on that notification bell. And also, these articles are going to be linked down in the description below. I cite all the sources. I put it on the screen. I read right from it. I even play the video footage for you so that way you can see it for yourself and know that it is the latest. And also additional resources linked down below, because in addition to hopefully FEMA assistance or state assistance or whatever, if you want to be ready for anything for yourself, I have various resources linked down below. We have that guide, that power grid failure guide. If power grids go down, some things to think about. That is linked down in the description below. In addition to that, iodide potassium tablets, various resources, Amazon links to things that you can buy to start stocking up on. Those are all linked down in the description below, so that way you and your family can be prepared for whatever comes. Because we're hearing that if you rely on FEMA, well, it might not be the best thing for you, according to what is coming out today from Donald Trump. So let me go ahead and share with you the latest so that way you can see it for yourself, the video footage and the articles, so that way you can see everything that is taking place right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at this video footage first. Now, this particular video footage coming out here, it looks like this one is from ABC News. And then I'm going to play for you some other clips that have come out, as this is coming out today as he visited North Carolina. He's visiting California, and he is saying FEMA has been of no help whatsoever. Donald Trump is going on his way to these locations saying we should send money directly to the states. Let's go ahead and take a look so that way you can see it for yourself.
We've been watching President Trump at a hurricane recovery briefing in Asheville, North Carolina, saying he intends to pass an executive order to overhaul or get rid of FEMA. He says the system might work better if the federal government pays states directly instead. The president also criticized the Biden administration's response to Hurricane Helene, calling it the disaster after the disaster.
I'll also be signing an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally reforming and overhauling FEMA, or maybe getting rid of FEMA. I think, frankly, FEMA is not good. I think when you have a problem like this, I think you want to go and, whether it's a Democrat or Republican governor, you want to use your state to fix it and not waste time calling FEMA. And then FEMA gets here and they don't know the area. They've never been to the area. And they want to give you rules that you've never heard about. They want to bring people that aren't as good as the people you already have. And FEMA's turned out to be a disaster. And you could go back a long way. You could go back to Louisiana. You could go back to some of the things that took place in Texas. It turns out to be the state that ends up doing the work. It just complicates it. I think we're going to recommend that FEMA go away.
After North Carolina, Trump then heads to California to survey the wildfire damage and the response there. I want to bring in ABC's Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill for more on all that. Jay, how significant is this from Trump, not only talking about overhauling FEMA, but the accusations he's launching against the organization for some of the things he says he's seeing in Nashville?
Well, it's certainly vague as to exactly what his plans would be. The terminology there that the president used was that he would want to, quote unquote, get rid of FEMA or overhaul it, and we just don't know what form that would take. Largely, FEMA's job is to do a few different things on the ground during a disaster. One is to provide direct relief to people, both a dollar amount that it comes immediately after the disaster, and then to process claims from people who say, my home was damaged, my business was damaged, etc. They apply for disaster relief assistance from FEMA. FEMA adjudicates those claims and vets them and reviews the damage in some cases, and then cuts a check to the individual who made the claim. They also give money directly to various state emergency management departments who both prepare for disasters and respond to them. And so cutting FEMA out of that process, as the president just talked about, would certainly be tricky, and there are some state emergency management departments that are not built to do the kind of disaster relief that FEMA is. They handle search and rescue. In some cases, they handle preparation for disasters and the immediate aftermath, like clearing debris. But cutting checks, assessing damage, those things that FEMA also does, there are certain states that just haven't built apparatuses that would be prepared for that. And so this idea of, quote unquote, getting rid of FEMA, giving the bulk of the responsibility to the states, it's really unclear how that would pan out and what the president is thinking here in terms of a timeline. Is this an executive order that he wants to write and sign tomorrow? We've seen this administration move very quickly when it comes to executive orders and exerting the president's will on the functions of the federal government, Diane.
Mary Alice, he also was asked about essentially strings attached to federal aid and whether that would happen in North Carolina. And he drew a distinction between North Carolina and California, saying that no, it wouldn't happen in North Carolina because essentially they were just hit with a natural disaster and nothing of their doing, where it sounds like he's blaming California in some ways for the fires and the response to them. What did you make of that part of this briefing?
Yeah, exactly. He has long blamed California for forest management issues, water management issues. Look, people on the ground in California admit that there have been challenges, but they also say they had faced an unprecedented historic drought this last year, that they had never seen fire conditions like they did this last year. We saw hurricane-force winds in downtown Los Angeles, blowing embers and debris and, frankly, wildfires into a city and urban population. They had never encountered something like that, and it led to such historic, devastating wildfires that took it down entire neighborhoods like we saw. So look, people on the ground in California saying that he's not basing his comments in fact. They've encouraged him to come, and I think there's a lot of folks in California that are telling us that they are glad the president is making the trip, but they are very worried that he's going to play politics with this funding. You know, on the tarmac earlier when he was talking to reporters, he also talked about everything from California's policies around voting. Of course, a lot of states don't want the federal government anywhere involved in telling them how to conduct their own elections and how to write their own voting laws in their states. So a lot of questions from Democrats, from people in California about whether Trump and Republicans here in D.C. are going to try to put conditions on aid, try to strong-arm California into changing other policies unrelated to disasters or wildfires as a part of a condition of getting help from the federal government.
Jay, how much would it take for him to implement some of the changes that he's floating here? And does he need Congress on board to do it?
I mean, yes and no. FEMA has allocated line items in the federal budget, and so moving some of that money around, it's unclear how much Congress would need to get involved in that. But because FEMA is a sub-agency of the Department of Homeland Security, the president can instruct DHS to do essentially what it would need to do to execute the president's will with its various sub-agencies. You probably can't get rid of it entirely, but you could overhaul it, as Trump is saying here. And again, what form that takes is very much unclear. It's somewhat of an off-the-cuff comment. It's a comment that Trump first made earlier this week in his first television interview as president on Fox News with Sean Hannity. He's obviously obviously continued it here at this gaggle with reporters. It's unclear how much this comment has been put to paper, meaning if there's an executive order ready to go to be signed by the president that would overhaul the agency or, quote unquote, do away with it, as Trump has continued to say.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. We're hearing that Donald Trump is saying, hey, why do we even have FEMA? They're doing a terrible job. They're not getting the funds that people need. And we need to make sure that we can just have the states get these funds directly. So let me know your thoughts. I actually have a poll going on right now in the comments, people putting whether or not that we should end FEMA. We have about 400 votes. 85% of the people are saying yes, just go ahead and get rid of FEMA. Other people, 15% is saying no, we need to keep FEMA at this time. Now, as I mentioned, Donald Trump, he traveled to North Carolina and to California today to visit these disaster sites, and he was giving some information about the stuff that's going on right now. And he was saying, hey, we need to address these issues and have them done in a timely manner, not taking forever, because right now the disasters, people are waiting, they're in need. I've actually got some video footage I'm going to play for you just here in a second as people in North Carolina complaining about how they did not get the help and the support from FEMA that they needed. And that is why Trump was saying, why do we even have it? But let's go ahead and take a look at this clip coming out as we're hearing that Donald Trump is visiting California right now, and he's going to be clashing with Gavin Newsom. Now, let me know your thoughts on Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Do you think that Gavin Newsom is doing a good job? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. But there is a lot of tension right now between Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump. But Donald Trump's heading over there to take a look at the fires, the situation, and discuss getting FEMA relief over to California. Let's go ahead and take a look at the video footage so you can see it for yourself.
All right, today, the president is making his first trip of his second term, stopping in storm-ravaged western North Carolina before heading out to Los Angeles to survey all the damage from the wildfires. And those trips come after Donald Trump expressed frustration with FEMA.
Jackie Heinrich is live from the hard-hit Asheville with the details. Hey, Jackie.
Good morning to you guys. Yeah, this community is still recovering from Hurricane Helene, which hit in late September. The Japanese restaurant behind me is in ruins. There are still, there's rubble all over the parking lot. I'll have my camera pan off so you can see what I'm talking about. And also, early this month, about 3,000 people were reportedly told that their hotel vouchers were expiring. They had only days' notice, nowhere to go. Congressman Chuck Edwards, he's a Republican who represents this district, had to lobby that agency to give people at least 21 days notice. And he says that they agreed, but he's also called for an agency overhaul. He'll be joining the president today. Now, President Trump did not telegraph much about FEMA overhauls that he is planning, but there are proposals to shift more of the recovery burden to states or potentially condition it on preparedness. It follows criticism that FEMA has been biased against Republicans. Recall that the agency fired an employee on its hurricane relief team after telling first responders not to visit Florida homes that had Trump yard signs after Hurricane Milton. And there was a lot of criticism about FEMA's response to the hurricane here in Asheville, saying that it was too slow.
Our country can no longer deliver basic services in times of emergency, as recently shown by the wonderful people of North Carolina, been treated so badly. And other states who are still suffering from a hurricane that took place many months ago. Or more recently, Los Angeles, where we're watching fires still tragically burn from weeks ago without even a token of defense.
Now, the New York Times writes this morning, Trump says states should manage disasters. Former FEMA leaders agree. Quote, the past 4 administrators of FEMA, 2 appointed by Democrats and 2 appointed by Mr. Trump, have made versions of that argument calling for states to do more. But states generally want more help, not less. Now, conditioning aid is a controversial proposal. Historically, Congress has passed bipartisan disaster supplementals on a bipartisan basis. But after California's fires, which are expected to be the most expensive natural disaster in American history, Trump has threatened to withhold help if the state does not amend its forest and water management policies. And today, after he leaves North Carolina, the president will head to California, and Governor Gavin Newsom will be scrambling onto that tarmac to greet the president, saying he wants to have a conversation, guys.
All right, so hopefully there'll be some unscripted moments in North Carolina where people can voice their concern. And in California, anything can happen in California because the fires are still raging. The governor and the president aren't really speaking. There's really no Republican outside Darrell Issa to meet him on the tarmac.
All right. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie.
That's right. Thanks, guys.
So looking at that footage that Jackie has of North Carolina, I look at Florida, and they have hurricanes all the time. You got Ron DeSantis, and he clears those streets up fast. He has the line workers there to get the electricity up. The fact that this place looks almost the same as 4 months ago show you there's a failure of leadership. That I'm so glad that the president is going down there to give those folks some help, because I feel like as the LA fires have gotten in the news, I'm getting messages from the folks back there. They feel forgotten. They feel like everybody's forgotten about their story, and they're still dealing with a lot of the consequences of that storm.
Yeah, Franklin Graham was with us when we were at the inauguration, and he said there's a lot that still needs to be cleaned up in North Carolina. There's a headline in Politico, because once the president's in North Carolina, he's going to leave and go out to California. And Jackie was just mentioning this. It says Newsom plans to crash Trump's LA wildfire visit. And in the article, it says, this is Gavin Newsom, I look forward to being there on the tarmac to thank the president, welcoming him. And we are making sure that all the resources he needs for a successful briefing are provided to him. There's no limit to the resources we'll provide for that briefing. And in the article, it says that Newsom's been trying to get in touch with him, and Trump hasn't returned his calls. And they haven't talked since the president left office in 2020.
Yeah, but how about, why'd you cut the budget to the fire department? Why is your homeless budget double that of the firefighters? Why did you not listen to the firefighters union and said they weren't ready? Why was it okay to have a reservoir totally empty and another one not working? Why was there no backup generator plan for when you did lose power, that the fire hydrants would be replenished with some type of generator? And I saw Nicole Shanahan on last night, who was the running mate of RFK with his brief run for independent president, and she says people are constantly running up to Gavin Newsom saying, I've been trying to clear the brush in the parklands behind my house. No one is coming out to do it. And there's a big push from Democrats as well as Republicans that have always been pushed to clean up the forests ahead of the guaranteed wildfires. So he's got water and he's got forest cleanup that he will not address.
Operative word, guaranteed. We knew this was going to happen. They expect fires, especially with those Santa Ana winds, and it hasn't rained there for a while. It will this weekend, thankfully. Hope there aren't many mudslides or any at all. But they're used to this in California. You have to get the forests fixed, and you have to have water.
So the narrative from the left is that the president is politically targeting the people of California. That's not true. Spoke with the president yesterday. He said he cares about the people. They're American citizens. He wants them. He goes, I'm trying to help them. He goes, a conversation with Gavin Newsom is a non-starter unless he wants to release the water from the north. Fix up, take the brush out. He goes, I told him this years ago, and he didn't listen, and now you got the people that are struggling. So if we're going to have a conversation about progress, those things have to be on the table. Gavin is going to be there to greet the president. I hope that he's prepared to have a tough conversation about what they can do to move the state forward.
Well, they got to make decisions on if they can rebuild in these areas, or are they too problematic. Number two, you got that red tape. That's environmental red tape. They have all these qualifications. Number three, the water, and number four, insurance. Are we, as a country, going to underwrite all of California because they refuse to let these carriers raise their rates, so the carriers pull out? So should we be handling their insurance?
Not right.
We'll be following it all day.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley
There
Earhart.
you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. We're hearing that Donald Trump is going to be visiting California, and he's going to be clashing with Gavin Newsom. And they're saying that this is a problem that has been going on for quite some time with the mismanagement of the forestry, with the lack of water issues. And you actually saw, so this is two different takes on this, two very different takes. Originally, I played for you the one coming out from ABC News, and ABC was saying, yes, California is known for having issues with fires, but they said that they were kind of saying Donald Trump is taking this moment to politicize this because we had unnatural amount of winds. This is very uncommon. Yet you have Fox News saying, no, this is something that we've known about for a while that was going to be coming. And just because there was a drought, doesn't mean that they didn't see this coming. And that is the complaint here, is that Gavin Newsom has decided to turn a blind eye to the management of the forestry, which has been an issue for quite some time, and also the issue with the water. And hearing the news report, I can tell you, like, from my personal experience, I used to live in California, and I can tell you one of the reasons, actually the main reason why I left California was because of the fires of where I was at. I couldn't breathe. I had asthma every summer. There was fires. There was literally times where the skies were red with smoke and fires going on, and I could not breathe. And so I can tell you from personal experience, I don't need any news reporters to tell me this, I can tell you that this has been an ongoing problem for years in California. So I'm not buying the whole narrative that ABC is providing, that, oh, this is just a one-time thing, Donald Trump is politicizing this. No, not buying that for a second. This has been going on for quite some time. This is, without a doubt, there is forms of poor management. This is something that they know is taking place. There needs to be preventative measures set in to make sure that this doesn't happen. Now, the fact that it did happen in the middle of January, that is odd, because typically we will see this during the summer times, but still, that doesn't take away from the fact that this is something that they know could potentially happen and needs to be addressed. So I definitely agree that this could be handled in a much better way. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this article before I dive into some more video footage, so that way you can see some of the information coming out. This one coming out from NBC News, that Trump is floating overhauling or eliminating FEMA while touring the hurricane damage in North Carolina. And as I mentioned, not only North Carolina, but also Los Angeles today. Now, it says President Donald Trump on Friday floated the idea of overhauling or eliminating the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, while visiting North Carolina to view the aftermath of last year's Hurricane Helene. I'll also be signing an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally reforming and overhauling FEMA, or maybe getting rid of FEMA. I think, frankly, FEMA is not good, Trump said at a hurricane recovery briefing in Fletcher, North Carolina. FEMA has already let us down, let the country down. And I don't know if that's Biden's fault or whose fault it is, but we're going to take over it. We're going to do a good job, Trump told reporters in separate remarks upon landing in Asheville. He suggested cutting FEMA out of the process entirely for future natural disasters, saying, "I'll be direct." In other words, the aid will go through us. So rather than going through FEMA, it will go through us. And I think maybe this is a good place to start, because, and in all fairness to the governor, in all fairness to everybody else, FEMA was not on the ball, and we're going to turn it all around. Now, the president spoke about overhauling FEMA entirely, saying probably less FEMA because FEMA just hasn't done the job. And we're looking at the whole concept of FEMA. He also voiced support for letting states take charge of disaster response in the aftermath of natural disasters such as hurricanes and wildfires, telling reporters, "I'd like to see the states take care of disasters. Let the state take care of the tornadoes and the hurricanes and all of the things that happen. And I think you're going to find it a lot less expensive. You'll do it for less than half that you are going to get, and you're going to get it a lot quicker response." So that seems to be the recommendation. But we'll be making that recommendation over the next couple of weeks, Trump added. He echoed that notion at the hurricane recovery briefing, saying, "I think we're going to recommend that FEMA go away and we pay directly and we pay a percentage to the state, but the state should fix this." He also called the agency very bureaucratic and very slow. Traditionally, FEMA doesn't work alone in response to natural disasters to clean up debris and provide humanitarian aid, but alongside state and local partners. As it stands right now, both state governors and FEMA play a role in disaster response. Despite the president's language saying that he would like to see the states take care of the disasters, governors do take primary responsibility for the response already. They have the ability to declare states of emergency, control and coordinate their emergency management agencies, and deploy state resources such as the National Guard. Now, it is only when states make a formal request for federal assistance, or when the situation clearly exceeds state or local capabilities, that the federal government steps in, and that requires the president to sign a disaster declaration. Now, does Trump have the power to eliminate FEMA? In order to eliminate FEMA entirely, as Trump suggested, he would need Congress to get him presidential reorganization authority under the Presidential Reorganization Act. In short, Trump could seek support from both chambers for the authority to consolidate, reorganize, or eliminate executive branch departments. The last time Congress gave a president such authority was during the Reagan administration. Now, in 2012, then President Barack Obama came to Congress with a restructuring proposal, but it was turned down. Neither Trump nor congressional Republicans have spoken publicly about the act or any attempt to authorize its use for Trump. Trump's recent history of questioning FEMA. Trump has long counted FEMA as a foe and joined other Republicans last year in spreading misinformation about agencies in the wake of the devastating hurricanes that hit North Carolina in September. And again, you can see they're claiming misinformation. This is coming from NBC News, slanted to the left. They're saying that Trump has a history of questioning FEMA. And now we're seeing this come to fruition where he is saying maybe we should just get rid of it altogether or do an overhaul on FEMA because they are simply not cutting it. Now, I did a poll in the comments as to whether or not we should keep FEMA or get rid of it. And the vast majority of the audience watching right now is saying FEMA's not doing a very good job. Maybe we should get rid of FEMA and just go ahead and have the states go ahead and distribute anything that is needed like Trump is suggesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But let's go ahead and take a look at this briefing so that way you can see it for yourself as Trump criticizes FEMA during his North Carolina Helene tour. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video footage.
So we're going there, but I said, well, what about North Carolina? Well, you could do that. No, I can't. I said, we're stopping in North Carolina first, and then we're going to Los Angeles. And we just appreciate the outpouring of love that we've had here. Laura was, as you know, very instrumental in the campaign, and she lived here and is loved, and we appreciate it. And Michael Whatley has been incredible, wherever Michael is. Hello, Michael. Michael Whatley has been great, and your congressmen have been great. And what we thought we'd do is take a quick look around. First, we wanted to do this. I want to say that we're very disappointed in FEMA. Your new governor, it's not his fault. He's brand new to the whole situation. But we're going to work together with the governor. We're going to work together with the senators, but really we're going to work a lot with your congressmen, especially the three that are in the area, and Michael Whatley. And I'd like to put Michael in charge of making sure everything goes well. And Franklin Graham has been unbelievable. We've made a big contribution to Franklin, and we'll continue to do so. But I've been hearing nothing but praise for the job that Samaritan's Purse has done with Franklin, and we appreciate it. Where is Franklin? He's around here someplace. And that good-looking guy, he's always been a good-looking guy. His father was a good-looking guy, too, I'll tell you. We loved his father, right? I saw his father in the latter years, and I said, well, he doesn't have long to go. He was having a hard time, and he lived about 3 or 4 years after that, right? He was they say it was good stock. He had the ultimate good stock. But I want to thank you, Franklin. You've been fantastic here, and everywhere he goes, he's always the first one I see. People don't realize it, how good it is. A lot of people, they go, well, maybe it's for the people that he's got, and you guys know because you're here, but the people that he's got have done amazing work. So I just want to thank everybody. We're going to get over and take a look. We'll say a few words. I do want to introduce some of the people that we have, and our First Lady. We'll start with our First Lady. She wanted to be here because of North Carolina, and then I said, well, you can do that, but you're going to have to come to California, too. And she said, that's okay. And we got to fix that one up, too. Do you ever see anything like that one? It's, who would have thought that could have happened? So, Governor Josh Stein, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And we're going to have a very long and good relationship. Representatives, maybe stand up if you would so the press can see. Representatives Chuck Edwards. Chuck, thank you. Thank you, Chuck. Tim Moore. Virginia, you know Virginia Fox, a legend. She is such a powerful woman. Pat Harrigan. Pat, thank you very much. Your Agriculture Commissioner, who I hear is excellent, Steve Troxler. Steve, thank you very much. Good job, Steve. You got plenty to do, right? Huh? More than you ever thought. North Carolina Speaker Dustin Hall. Thank you, Dustin. Thanks, Dustin. Very good. House Majority Leader Brendan Jones. Brendan, thank you very much. We're making progress, Brendan. State Representatives Dudley Green, Carl Gillespie. Thank you very much, fellas. Good. Good. Thank you very much. State Senators Kevin Corbin, Warren Daniel. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kevin, Warren. And County Commissioner Jennifer Best. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. So Hurricane Helene was one of the worst natural disasters in American history. It was far worse than it was even billed. I have never seen such water damage. It was largely water damage, wind damage, but water damage nobody's ever seen. I've been here, as you know, numerous times, but now I'm here in a position where we can do something, meaning I've been in office for 4 days, and I wanted to come sooner, but actually they had a little problem with getting logistically in here, but I would have been here even sooner. 104 North Carolinians have lost their lives. Is that now a fairly firm number, or are they still finding people? You know, what do you think? They're still finding people? Pretty much okay? It's a lot of people. 104 people lost their lives. 73,000 homes were severely damaged or destroyed. And I'll tell you, I've been to a lot of them, and this was like lots of hurricanes in one. I've never seen such damage done by water. And the water came, it was violent, and it left, and there was like nothing left. It's really pretty amazing. At one point, half of the emergency calls to FEMA went unanswered. That's real bad. FEMA was not doing their job. The city of Asheville went without running water for 2 months. A whistleblower testified that some FEMA employees refused to help people who displayed Trump signs on their properties. I think that's true, isn't it? I read that. It's not nice. That's not too nice, is it? But whoever those property people were, thank you very much. Michael, is that true? That's not good, huh? About the property owners you put a Trump sign on and they wouldn't help? FEMA. Earlier this year, FEMA kicked 2,000 North Carolinians out of their temporary housing into below freezing temperatures. What was that all about? Is that, you know about that? What happened? Tell me.
We had an incompetent administration under Biden, and we had a disaster, and then we call it the disaster after the disaster. That was the FEMA response.
You had nothing but disaster since then. It doesn't matter at this point. Biden did a bad job. Some residents still don't have hot water, drinking water, or anything else, and many of them don't have quarters. They don't have anything. They got a stipend for what they lost, and we're going to take care of it. This is totally unacceptable, and I'll be taking strong action to get North Carolina the support that you need to quickly recover and rebuild. We're working on it very hard, and I think if Michael Watley does half as good a job for North Carolina as he did for my campaign, we'll be very happy. Him and Laura were a very powerful team. So you think you can handle it, Michael? I don't know. I'm not sure, Michael. I think this is maybe in many ways easier, okay? Maybe easier. But you're going to lead the team. Do you want to say who the congressmen are that you want to appoint? Do you want to introduce them?
We have Virginia Fox, Chuck Edwards, and Tim Moore, whose districts encompass the area.
And they are the districts that were most severely impacted, right? You were affected then, Virginia?
Yes, lost my own platform.
Really? No. I'll also be signing an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally reforming and overhauling FEMA, or maybe getting rid of FEMA. I think, frankly, FEMA is not good. I think when you have a problem like this, I think you want to go and whether it's a Democrat or Republican governor, you want to use your state to fix it and not waste time calling FEMA, and then FEMA gets here and they don't know the area, they've never been to the area, and they want to give you rules that you've never heard about. They want to bring people that aren't as good as the people you already have. And FEMA's turned out to be a disaster. And you could go back a long way. You could go back to Louisiana. You could go back to some of the things that took place in Texas. It turns out to be the state that ends up doing the work. It just complicates it. I think we're going to recommend that FEMA go away. and we pay directly. We pay a percentage to the state, but the state should fix this. If the state did this from the beginning, it would have been a lot better situation. I think you guys agree with that, right? So I just want to say that Asheville, I know it well. It's a great place, and we're going to have it be a great place again. That was the one that was most severely affected. But North Carolina is going to come back bigger, better, stronger than ever before. And you're going to be very thankful. And you've already seen, I know that it really began 4 days ago, but you've already seen more action than you have in the last 3 months. And we're going to get it together. We're informing the Army Corps of Engineers to get going because you have a lot of river breaks and a lot of areas that you're going to need some pretty big work. And they're on their way. They're going to be working much harder than they've been working in the past, and we're going to take care of it. Any questions from the press of any of the congressmen, governor, anybody?
Sir, are you going to sign an executive order on FEMA, getting rid of it? Can you say more about signing an executive order to get rid of FEMA, please?
FEMA has been a very big disappointment. They cost a tremendous amount of money. It's very bureaucratic, and it's very slow. Other than that, we're very happy with them. Okay, and I think when there's a problem with the state, I think that problem should be taken care of by the state. That's what we have states for. They take care of problems. And a governor can handle something very quickly. You know, one of the things I've noticed, because I've been doing this for a while, and we had a pretty good FEMA, but I also noticed that when they come, they end up in arguments. They're fighting all the time over who does what. It's just not a good system. This system is so beautifully designed over 250 years approximately, you know, and we'll soon be celebrating the 250th year. It's going to be a very big celebration. But it's been designed very well, and we're going to leave it that way. When North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, when everybody knows the governor of Tennessee, I think, everybody. Do you know everybody here, pretty much? I never thought of it, but you're right over the ridge.
Right over the hillside.
So you're here to help. That's great.
The people in this region, including Tennessee, the people of Appalachia, are grateful that you are here and that you haven't forgotten it. And that there are other disasters, but this one was enormous for both North Carolina and Tennessee. So thank you.
You know, I've seen a lot of disasters, and when I came here right after, the day after. And when I came here, I couldn't believe it, actually. I couldn't believe the damage. And I've seen a lot of them. This was more like a tornado than it was what we witnessed. So we're going to get it very much taken care of. Good job. That's nice that you came. And so you call it you're right over the ridge, right, Tennessee?
Over the ridge, yes.
I like Tennessee, too. Let's see, where did I get more votes, Tennessee or North Carolina? I hate to tell you, North Carolina, it was Tennessee.
There's one of the counties in this disaster that had 88% for you. So
88%, yeah. No, the people are just incredible people.
Yeah.
So, do you have any questions, press?
President, you talked about conditions being placed on aid to California, voter ID and the like. Are there any conditions that you're going to put on aid to North Carolina?
We're going to do a lot for North Carolina. You know, they've been very slow. I don't know why it's been so bad. This has been one of the worst I've seen. Katrina, of course, you know, was something that obviously that was a long time ago. That was not good. But this has been very slow. I don't know if that was for political reasons because they lost the state. You know, Biden lost the state. Maybe he felt he doesn't care. Maybe there were other reasons. I don't know. But this has been very slow. By any standard, this has been very slow. And we're gonna make up for lost time.
No conditions. You're going to push for aid.
Well, in California, I have a condition. In California, we want them to have voter ID so the people have a voice, because right now the people don't have a voice because you don't know who's voting, and it's very corrupt. And we also want them to release the water. If they released the water, they wouldn't have had a problem. If they released the water when I told them to, because I told them to do it 7 years ago, if they would have done it, you wouldn't have had the problem that you had. You might not have even had a fire. So, but here I don't have that. It's a different thing. You got hit by a storm. The people are incredible. They worked really well. Franklin was fantastic, and other groups. By the way, other groups came in that were also fantastic, and other states came in. Tennessee and a couple of others came in and they really help. That's the way it's supposed to be. No, this is a different kind of a thing.
Mr. President, have you decided how much funding you would allocate for disaster relief in North Carolina?
About what?
Have you decided how much funding you would allocate for disaster relief?
I haven't. I have to see what it is.
Are you disappointed that Senator Schiff hasn't joined you on this trip? It's reported you invited Senator Schiff to join you on this trip and he was too busy. Are you disappointed?
I don't know. I was told that Schiff was going to travel with us to California. I wasn't thrilled, to be honest with you. And I saw him last night on television. It looks like he got hit with a baseball bat or something. What happened to him? Something happened to him. It looked like he got hit. It looked like he got beat around. But I'll ask Caroline to find out what happened to him. No, if he wanted to come out, I would have done that. But I don't know. Somebody said that he wanted to come on the plane, but I think he's staying back for the votes. There's some pretty good votes going on. Yeah.
Mr. President, what is your timeline for getting rid of FEMA?
For this one? For this one?
You just talked about possibly getting rid of FEMA. What timeline are you looking at, and how would you do that?
Well, we're looking here. Here you're talking about. To start, we're going to start immediately timeline. And to finish, it's going to be a period of time. You know, people are also rebuilding their houses. How long does it take to build a house, right? It takes some time. And I want them to build houses bigger, better, nicer than they had before, so they can have, at least they get something out of this disaster. This was a real disaster. No, timeline will be fast. In terms of infrastructure, I think very fast. I want to thank Elon, because Elon was able to get us communication systems, as you know, Starlink. We had no communication. The first day I got here, I was asked by one of the people, one of the really great representatives, professionals, that is there any way you could get Starlink here, because they had no communication whatsoever. And I called up Elon Musk, and he had, hundreds of units brought here, brought immediately. And it's hard to get. They couldn't get them before. And that made a lot of difference. I think it saved a lot of lives, actually. Yeah. Infrastructure-wise, we'll do it quickly.
Sir, can you just talk about how long you think it might take to get rid of FEMA? What's the timeline on that? If we're going to roll it back.
Yeah, I would say, look, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really thinking about FEMA right now here. I'm thinking about Michael Watley, and I'm thinking about the 3 Congress people that you just heard from, and also the other people in Congress, and they'll be working with the governor. They'll be working with the governor, so that's what I see.
Change the subject real quickly. The Laken Riley Act was signed by Speaker Johnson yesterday.
Right.
When do you anticipate to sign that into
Well,
office?
we're honored by that. Laken Riley, I was there at the time, and we had a big meeting with the parents right after that horrible thing took place. And we have an act. You all know what that act represents. And it was a bipartisan bill. Many Democrats signed onto it. That's something that is a tribute to Laken, a beautiful young lady.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. That was Donald Trump earlier today, January the 24th, 2025, coming out, visiting North Carolina, discussing the disaster relief, saying that it has taken the Biden administration far too long, that it's a shame that it's been 4 months and there has been no relief, that it essentially looks the same. And he said, we need to get these people help, and right away. And he said that FEMA has been a disaster on this. Now, you heard one of the reporters ask the question about when he plans to have FEMA essentially be ended. And it sounded like he misunderstood the question, didn't really give an answer, and thought that she was asking, when are they going to have the repairs done in North Carolina? He answered that question, and he said they're going to start immediately, and they're going to do everything they can to get it taken care of, but it's taken far too long. Now, in addition to that, we actually heard from a lot of the people that were impacted in North Carolina as well. And Donald Trump is also visiting California right now. And as you heard him say, that there are going to be stipulations on the funds going to California. And he said one of the things is they need to have voter ID available. Let me know if you agree or not. As he said, there's no way to tell who's voting or who they're voting for if there's no voter ID verification. So in other words, let me know your thoughts on this. We're hearing that Gavin Newsom has been voted in as the governor, and we actually saw him challenged before. As you'll recall, I think it was a couple of years ago, I don't remember when it was, they actually had a midterm election where they were trying to remove him, and other people were trying to come up against him to take him out. And we heard that the vast majority of the votes came up for Gavin Newsom to stay in place. And Donald Trump is saying, well, how do we know that that is for real if we don't have voter IDs? How do we know who's actually voting and who's not? How can we even keep track of it? So he's saying we need to have voter IDs in California. And if there is some sort of strict regulations on determining the actual vote counts in California, then he said, you know, we'll see what results come up. And he said, I actually think that we need to enforce this, that there's going to be some form of voter ID. And also there needs to be some sort of better management of the water in California. And he said, those are some stipulations that I would like to tie to the FEMA funding that we would provide to California. For the federal funding to be provided to the state of California, I think that these two things need to be fulfilled. Let me know, do you agree with Donald Trump on that? If so, put yes. If no, put no. Let me know your thoughts. But he's suggesting that I will give you funds to help with these fires. But before I do that, I need you to get voter IDs in place, and I need you to also make sure that you address your poor water management. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Yes, if you think yes, this is a good idea. No, if you think no. But this is currently what is being proposed by Donald Trump. And I'm seeing the yeses starting to pour in. People saying, yes, we need to have some accountability for voting in California if they want federal government funds. The yeses are starting to pour in. Now, also do me a favor if you haven't done so yet. I see we got about 1,500 people live with me in the room. Don't forget to take a second, hit that like button, help spread this out further. But let's take a look. Is Donald Trump actually in North Carolina on the scene in Hurricane Helene victims all around him? And I'm just going to play a quick bit of this for you. This is actually a half an hour long clip coming out from Fox Live Now. I'm just going to play a little bit of it so that way you can see Donald Trump and some of the people that were hit by the devastation in North Carolina and Tennessee from the hurricane. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Please. Thank you very much, Thank you. All right, good man. He's done a great job, fantastic job. And we've come to North Carolina with a simple message for all the people of this region who are hit so hard by Hurricane Helene. And that message is very simple. You are not forgotten any longer. You were treated very badly by the previous administration. And I'm here after a few days of the administration. We're going to California, Los Angeles. They got hit hard, as you know. A lot of that could have been prevented, I think, if they had water, which they had plenty of, but they didn't use it. But I'm going there, and it was set up to go there. They said, well, what about North Carolina? They said, well, what would you? I said, I have to stop there first. I'm stopping in North Carolina. So we made the stop, and I feel very good. You're represented by some great people, great congressmen are with us, and we're going to get involved with them. And Michael Whatley is here, who is the head of the Republican Party. He worked with Laura Trump to take us through to a tremendous victory. One of the, as the media says, one of the most consequential presidential elections ever. They say in 129 years, whatever that may mean. But whatever it is, it was a great election we had, and we won your state. All three times we won your state. And all three primaries we won your state. So we won it 6 times, I guess, Mr. Congressman. And it's a great place. And I wanted to come here. And before I went anywhere, frankly, in the campaign, I promised that I'd come back to Western North Carolina to help the people of the state. And today, here I am to deliver on that promise. And we have a lot of things in mind. And we're getting the Army Corps of Engineers all set. You need your riverbanks fixed. You need a lot of roads fixed. And we're going to get it done in rapid time. And I've asked Susie Wiles and all of my people to start calling up, get the Corps ready, and they're going to get ready to go. I don't know what it is. I don't know what took so long for the other administration. But remember, I wasn't here for the first 4 months or 3 months, whatever it may be. See, we can only start as of essentially 1 or 2 days ago, and we've made a lot of progress over the last couple of days, Michael. I understand we're going to get you the resources you need and the support that you deserve, and we'll be at your side through every step of the rebuilding, and no American is going to be left behind. The people that I just met are so great, and the people that own that house is going to be very beautiful in a little while. And who knows, if Franklin decides, maybe he'll rip it down and build him a new one, because sometimes he can do that just as easily. But we're going to take care of the people. I want to thank our great First Lady for coming today. She really wanted to be here. She said, no, I want to go. And, she sees what happened, and she felt very badly, and she wanted to go. And we're then going out together to Los Angeles, but she wanted to be in North Carolina. She saw what happened. She has a feeling like I do for North Carolina. So thanks as well to a great gentleman, Franklin Graham, and his father, Billy Graham. I used to go with my father to Yankee Stadium and places to watch his father preach. And he was some preacher. Whereas you got good stock. You come from the ultimate genes, I can tell you. But he was really something. And Franklin, though, has done so much, and his father's looking down on him right now. I guarantee for a long time he's been looking down on Franklin, saying, I'm very proud of you, son. He really is, because what Franklin's done with Samaritan's Purse is incredible. They told me just yesterday that Samaritan's Purse has been great, but the FEMA people sort of left you high and dry, but we're going to change that around. We're not happy with FEMA. As well as all of the representatives. You have great representatives here. Chuck Edwards, who's here someplace. Where's Chuck? Where's Chuck? Chuck. Tim Moore. Tim, thank you, Tim. Great job, too. Both of you guys. Virginia Fox, a power. She's a power, that one. Don't ever have her as your enemy. It's not good. It's not healthy. Pat Harrigan. Good job, Pat. Addison McDowell. These guys were just here, just put in, and they're doing a fantastic job. Addison, thank you very much. Great. Mark Harris. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Brad Knott. Thank you, Brad. Greg Murphy, fantastic guy, my friend for a long time now, right? And the RNC chairman, Michael Whatley, who really, as I said, brought us to a great victory with Laura, the chairman of the party, the whole Republican. I took Michael Whatley from North Carolina because he did the best job and put him in charge of everything, and the job they did together was incredible. Last September, Hurricane Helene became one of the deadliest natural disasters in modern American history. Rainfall rose to far more than 30 inches, which is lethal, unleashing unprecedented devastation throughout western North Carolina and many other states, as you know, but you got hit the hardest. The highest responsibility and deepest obligation of the American government is to protect its people, and that's never truer than in times of emergency like this. Unfortunately, our government failed you, but it wasn't the Trump government. It was a government run by Biden. What a terrible situation. But our government failed the people of North Carolina in this horrible crisis. For 2 months, Asheville lacked running water, and even today, some North Carolinians can't take a hot water shower. They can't drink water. They don't know where to get it. It's delivered to them by some, or they just go out and somehow find some. It's been 4 months since the storm made landfill, and still 180 roads remain closed and in ruins. Earlier this month, the Biden administration kicked 2,000 displaced North Carolinians out of their temporary housing into freezing 20-degree weather. I don't know how they did that one, because it was cold, even while your government provided shelter and housing for illegal aliens from all over the world. But under the Trump administration, the days of betrayal and neglect are over. They are over. As I said in my inaugural address, we restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of the American government. And I think I said most of it in the inaugural address. We said a lot of things, but one of the groups of people I was thinking about is you in North Carolina. A lot of that was in reference to you and what you've had to suffer. I'm pleased to announce that under our leadership, the federal government will be surging housing solutions to the state that go beyond mere temporary hotel stays that ended up being very short-term. The government wouldn't do it any longer, which is ridiculous. We'll marshal all available resources to bring back potable water and make your water and infrastructure dramatically more reliable very quickly. Today, I'll also be signing an executive order slashing all red tape and bureaucratic barriers and permits to ensure the rapid reconstruction of the roads here in western North Carolina. We're going to go through a permitting process that's called no permitting, just get it done.
That's the way they built them many years ago, I guarantee you that, right? We will get them back very quickly, and we'll begin the work of fundamentally changing, terminating, or overhauling FEMA. FEMA's been a disaster, no matter where they are. We're honored to be joined today very quickly by several families affected by the vicious storm. I'd like to ask each of them to share their story. Chris and Kim West, you could come forward. Ramona Nix, Jackie Mitchell, and Thomas Gary Bright. And finally, the Wright family. And come on up and maybe say a few words. Please, thank you very much. Hello.
Hi.
Come on in here.
Whenever it started, we started moving our vehicles to the top of the road, and by the time we got the vehicles moved, the water had already hit our ankles in the house. And so I grabbed my purse and my little pug dog, and my husband grabbed the dog food and put it in a trash bag, and by the time we got out into the driveway, it was already waist deep, and there were sticks and that kind of thing. I didn't think I was going to make it, but we did make it out, and we made it to the top of the road, and we were kind of stuck there for hours because we couldn't get out any of the ways because it was flooded all the way around. It took us hours, and we sat there, and finally it receded enough to where we could actually get out. It was probably like close to midnight, and it started like 5-6 o'clock in the morning. We just lost everything that we had. Didn't even have a brush for like 3 days. So, thank you.
Okay, good. Would you like to say something with that beautiful baby?
Hey. So when the hurricane storms hit North Carolina, hit our home, my daughter and my wife and I were actually out of town. But unfortunately, my dad was still at home, and my mother was staying at our house with our animals. And the waters got so high that it actually lifted between that and the tornado that came through, or microburst is what they've been calling them, and lifted his home and the house that I grew up in and crashed it into our barn. It took away his business. It took away all of our tools and tractors and everything needed to keep the farm going. And my mother was trapped in the house, and there was no way to escape because the water got so high. The only thing she could do was ride it out and wait till the waters came down. So we've been doing a little bit of battling with our insurance and FEMA. We did have proper insurance with flood insurance and homeowners insurance. But since we had proper insurance, FEMA's not been able to assist us with a whole lot of things. And again, we've been having some issues with trying to get some payout for our insurance in a timely manner. We had to do mold mitigation on our home, which is extremely expensive, before the structural engineer even came out in order to get our flood payout. And to me, that was not really acceptable.
Has the insurance company been responsive or not really?
Not so much. You know, again,
they give you the money they have to give you?
I'm hoping so. And we need some assistance with that. We reached out to an attorney.
What's the name of the insurance company?
North Carolina Farm Bureau.
We're gonna move them, right?
Yep.
That's terrible.
That's what we're after here.
Are a lot of people having that problem too, with the insurance companies, general, different insurance companies, and they're all difficult, or just the one particular one?
I've heard different stories from others, and a lot of folks are
responsive.
And I've heard some good instances of even Farm Bureau themselves, but in my case, you know, they'd send out a third-party adjuster immediately. Well, they wound up firing that third-party adjuster group. He gave us a quote for a much higher estimate than what we received.
And he got fired?
And then he got let go. Yeah, he got fired. So then they brought in another third-party adjuster to come in and lowball us. We've not received any kind of, so the flood insurance is our primary insurance, and so there was roof leaks in the home that the inspectors found, the adjusters. Well, that contributed to us losing some of our personal properties that come in the third story where there's no, or second story living space, where the flood water, well above the floodwaters. So they've neglected us for.
Is your mother saved?
Yes, she's saved. Yep.
You wrote it in?
She's right here.
Okay.
So we made it.
Not exciting, right?
That's right.
How scared were you?
Very.
Did you think you were going to make it?
No.
You didn't think so?
Nope. I just started praying.
So you were sort of on a boat. Your house became a boat.
It's a big pontoon.
That's some story.
It's a beach house on the steps.
I'll bet this guy would like to say something.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. So this goes on for quite some time. Like, he goes through all the individuals, lets them go ahead and speak. Just wanted to share with you a couple of the stories and what it was that he had to say. You heard him talking about FEMA, their lack of helping people out. Also, you heard, and let me know if you heard this. If you heard this in the comments, put a 1. That there was some FEMA workers that were in North Carolina that were actually skipping over and not providing assistance to houses that had Trump signs in front of them. Now, if you heard that, put a 1. If you didn't hear that, put a 2. But he had mentioned that in a previous video clip as well, and he was saying that it's pretty sad, it's disgusting. And he had said that one of the things that was an issue as well was that North Carolina was one of those swing states that ended up voting for Trump. And he said, why is this taking 4 months? He said, is this something that maybe they're like, hey, you didn't vote for us? Oh, well, is it a political thing? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But he mentioned that North Carolina, FEMA workers skipping houses that had Trump signs or people that were conservatives. So he's saying, hey, you know what? Let's just get rid of them. We don't need them. Let's go ahead and send, when there's disaster relief funds that are needed, send it directly to the state for the state to distribute to the residents, because it's just an extra step that is unnecessary. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, in addition to that, I actually saw somebody in the comments post that they had worked for FEMA for 18 years, and they said the idea of getting rid of FEMA, they thought it was a great idea. Wow. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But today, Trump proposing an executive order to eliminate or to overhaul FEMA. So we will see. Man, there are just big shakeups, it seems like, every single day with Trump in office now. And I'll continue to keep you guys up to speed on everything so you know exactly what is going on. Now, in addition to that, if you missed it, I did an update for you earlier this morning on the drones. A lot of people have been asking about the drone situation. What's going on with the drones? Where's the report on the drones? Well, in the past 48 hours, we've received some more information coming out from the mayor of Belleville, and he provided some updates regarding that report. Now, it hasn't been released yet, but as soon as it is, I'll be sure to let you know here on the channel. But if you missed it, check out that video right after this one. I'll pin it in the comments right as soon as we're done with this live stream, so that way you can check it out if you missed it. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll keep you up to speed on everything. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, so that way you know exactly what is going on. And as these updates come out, you can be notified right away. But that is the latest. Thank you so much. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.